Good afternoon. This is KFDM TV, Channel 6 in Beaumont, Texas.
KFDM signed on 69 years ago this month, first broadcasting live from this building that still stands today on Calder.
Weekends wind up wonderful with CBS and Channel 6.
In 1961, we moved to our longtime studios on Interstate 10 in Beaumont, originally branded Television Center.
Banks of floodlights hang high overhead and can be swung around or moved to fill needed areas with plenty of light for the camera.
But eminent domain to widen I-10 brought the wrecking ball last year to our broadcasting home of 62 years.
End of an era.
Well, if the walls could talk, they might have some stories to say, I would think.
Cecil.
There are plenty of stories from the people who came into your home from KFDM's longtime home. First, a KFDM anchor, manager, leader.
Experience, leadership. Larry Beaulieu, weekdays on 6 News.
Well, I guess I retired in 2011.
Now 76, Larry Beaulieu still calls Beaumont home. He came to KFDM in 1974, first as news director, and he ascended to general manager.
And there was just a culture about KFDM television that you just assimilated and you learned and you fit in, and we were able to attract great talent.
It's the Channel 6 news people's responsibility to keep in touch with you.
News people, in touch with people, where we gotta be. News people, in touch with people, on Channel 6 TV.
KFDM had a reputation. It was had some of the highest news shares of any television station in the United States.
You're watching KFDM, ranked as the #1 CBS station in the nation.
A Beaumont man is shot dead this afternoon, and a Port Arthur fireman appeals his dismissal.
Cecil signed off the air 29 years ago. She recently moved from Beaumont to South Texas to be near her son, Keith.
This is the Channel 6 News Update with Cecil, Albert Zip, Greg Bostwick with weather.
We know where we can find Greg Bostwick, but Albert Zip lives in West Virginia, retiring from TV news there in 2013. He says, the opportunity to work at Channel 6 was the best thing that ever happened to me. Working with Cecil, Greg, and the rest made me better. Albert tells me, I am what I am thanks to Channel 6. I've worked at other stations, smaller and larger, but none of the others compare.
I came to Channel 6 in 1983.
Good afternoon, I'm Sally Rieger. We understand there's been a shooting at Central Mall.
Truly, I grew up there. I grew up, people literally watched me grow up in the air from the age 22 to 32 or 33. And what I loved was just the fast action and the live reports.
Beaumont residents in the city's north end have found themselves in a foul situation. A peacock is running amok in their neighborhood. Tom Wright joined the Great Peacock Hunt today, and he now joins us from the newsroom. Tom, I guess you're exhausted.
Well, Sally, this is truly tales from the weird side.
Sally Rieger retired from Brookshire Brothers as Senior Director of Marketing and Public Relations 3 years ago.
So for the past 26 years, I have lived in Lufkin with my husband, Max, and the 2 daughters who we brought up here. Amazing community.
Bob, pretty nice facility here. You like it?
Really beautiful, Aaron. Just beautiful. I never dreamed I'd actually get to be on TV in the place where I grew up.
Bob French is here to give us the details. Bob.
Not only the possibility, Karen, we've got them to show you on Channel 6 Doppler radar right now. Nothing extremely heavy, but you may...
Meteorologist Bob French was a weatherman at Channel 6 throughout the 80s.
And I learned so much from Greg in the early years. Even though I was ahead of him in school, he was such a practical meteorologist and still is.
Bob French left in 1990 and became a chief meteorologist in Bryan College Station.
I'm retired now, and my wife and I get to go visit grandchildren.
It's no secret that Rock Hudson is not terribly fond of episodic television.
Before Lisa Gibbons became a star covering the stars.
This is the CBS Studio Center in Studio City, California.
She shined bright on KFDM's PM magazine 45 years ago.
Hello, everyone, and from California, I'm Lisa Gibbons. Welcome to Channel 6's PM magazine.
Or you probably remember some of the stories you did.
Oh, I remember almost every story we did because this was the dream job of all time.
They must also keep secret the directions to these things. Manual dexterity is not among my greater accomplishments.
I was so green, so new to the business. I was 22 years old, and it was my second job.
The body is asleep in a hypnotic state. The mind is not.
It's really among my most fond memories. I loved my time in Beaumont, loved it.
Yet here you can get lost in microcosms where the smallness of everything seems to hide the flaws and imperfections of reality.
I remember going to Sarton's. Do they still have Sarton's seafood? It was such a big deal. Is it closed now?
Sarton's Seafood is closed.
Yeah, Lisa remembering Sarton's Seafood. She was talking about the Sabine Pass location. What I found interesting with Lisa, she was so sweet, of course, but the very first time she ever even went to California was by KFDM. They sent her there to go interview a guy from WKRP. And, of course, Greg and I know Bob French. He was my first chief meteorologist.
Right.
And he praised you there, Greg.
Well,
I know he always does.
Bob was a great person to work with, no doubt about it. A lot of good people. I worked with all those people, basically, and it's just kind of fun seeing the old videos.
It is. That's one of my favorite things. It's just seeing the old videos and going back in time a little bit.
Of course, I haven't changed a bit, right?
That's right.
Not at all. And Larry Beaulieu, his voice is still the same.
He has the voice. No doubt.
We're not done yet, though. We have part 2. It picks up in the mid-1990s, and guess what? KFDM 6 News was still number 1.
Mm-hmm.
All of this week, Channel 6 is broadcasting the 5 and 6 o'clock news from the South Texas State Fair. We're inviting all of you.
Carrie Anderson anchored at KFDM with Bill Leger from 1994 to 96.
And, you know, I miss him every day, and it would be impossible to talk about my journey there without him.
Carrie had a successful public relations career in the gaming industry, and she owns a boutique PR firm in New Orleans.
I've worked everywhere. And there is nothing like Southeast Texas. The relationship that the viewers have with their on-air anchors, they literally, you feel like family from day one.
You know, my time in Southeast Texas was some of the best times of my life.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Leger.
And I'm Liz Wiggins. Thank you for joining us.
Liz Wiggins arrived to anchor at KFDM in 1995 and stayed for 7 years. She owns a PR firm, Bradford Public Relations, and also Moonacre Ranch, a retreat center focused on women in Spicewood outside of Austin.
And I'm always amazed at how many people say that they are from Beaumont, grew up in Beaumont, grew up in Southeast Texas, have family in Southeast Texas.
Who's your favorite? Jackie Simeon. She's my number one.
Jackie Simeon spent 13 years anchoring at KFDM.
There are two groups of people. People who tell me they miss seeing me on TV and people who tell me they watch me every day on TV.
Well, most of us have been around long enough to deal with the humidity, so.
I do miss it, of course. I mean, being on TV and being in the news world is all access. You have access to everything. You hear everything first.
Jackie is now the Communications and Media Relations Director for Beaumont ISD.
I mean, I think I'm one of the only ones that did all 5 of the newscasts. I started doing morning, then I went morning noon, and then I went morning noon 5, and then I went 5:10, and then I went 5:6:10. So I've done all 5 newscasts.
Kelly Phillips and her husband Bob just sold Texas Country Reporter, and they're gearing up for another traveling adventure that'll be announced soon. They come back to Southeast Texas often.
The great thing about KFDM is it was a true powerhouse.
How many years have you worked here, Scott, at KFDM?
42 going on 43 this June.
Parker says his most important consideration in devising the plan.
Scott Lawrence is KFDM's executive producer. He works from basically sunup to sundown and beyond. And in all those hours, years, and decades in the news business, he's never lost his passion.
TV's never the same. It's like an artist painting a picture. Every day is different. You start with a clean canvas, and no matter how good you did the day before, you'd want to do it all over again. And if you had a bad day, we get to start over. What other job offers that?
The people are part of KFDM's heritage as a legacy television station. And as we say at KFDM 6 News, you can count on us. Then, when this was a state-of-the-art facility back in 1961.
Good afternoon. This is KFDM TV, Channel 6.
And now.
So from Television Center in 1961 to this state-of-the-art content center in 2024, our look has changed. That lighting has gotten a lot better for sure.
That's right.
But our commitment to community still remains the same. As we say here at KFDM, you can count on us. And I'd like to do a special thank you to Tom Wright. He's our managing editor. You know Tom, our viewers certainly do, from Live at 5 especially. He spent hours putting that piece together, so I'm sure you're watching tonight. Thank you, Tom.